Okay, welcome everybody. We'll get started for now. People might still trickle in throughout this open house here. Before we get going with everything, we want to let you all know that this meeting is being recorded. A video recording of this meeting, the presentation and answered questions will be posted on our website following the virtual open house. My name is Bea, and I work as the communications coordinator for the City of Steinbach. First, we'd like to thank you all for joining us this evening to talk about the reconstruction of the Loewen Boulevard and Provincial Trunk Highway 12 intersection. The City of Steinbach is excited for this project, and we know that this renewal would not be possible without the contributions from the Province of Manitoba. We would also like to take a moment to acknowledge that we here in Steinbach and at the intersection where this project will take place are located in Treaty 1 territory on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, as well as within the national homeland of the Red River Métis. We will get started shortly with a presentation from the city engineer, Aaron Rock. He will go through an overview of the project, traffic and access management, timelines, and key changes that are expected. As you view the presentation, please submit any questions that you may have using the chat feature. Feel free to leave it to the to everyone one so that we can all see your questions. These will all be reviewed these will all be collected and reviewed and then asked to Aaron at the end of his presentation during the Q&A portion. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Aaron Rock, our city engineer.
All right, thanks, Bea. And yeah, good evening to everyone in attendance. I'd like to start by thanking you all for taking time to participate in this virtual open house, which is the first for the City of Steinbach. So I apologize in advance for any glitches. But yeah, we hope to provide a better understanding of the project and address all of your questions and concerns. All right, so I'd like to begin by going over the key participants in this project. This is a joint project between the Province of Manitoba and the City of Steinbach. The province is the authority for PTH 12, while the city is the authority for Loewen Boulevard. This partnership has been used in previous infrastructure projects, with recent examples being the Acres-Penfeld intersection in 2016 and Park Road West intersection in 2014. WSP, formerly MMM Group, is the civil consultant for this project and has been working with the community and city of Steinbach for several decades on various infrastructure, environmental, and planning projects. Maple Leaf Construction is the general contractor, and they have been working on city infrastructure projects for nearly 4 decades now. As well, Friesen Hauling and Excavating and Image Sprinkler and Sod, who are both local contractors, will be subcontracting to Maple Leaf. So project delivery followed the typical design bid build format. Pre-qualified contractors were invited to submit a competitive bid for the work, with the lowest bidder being awarded the project. This project was awarded by City Council on May 21st for just under $10 million. This is planned to be a 2-year project, and the scope of work for this project primarily consists of 700 meters of water main replacement, 900 meters of wastewater sewer replacement, 570 meters of land drainage sewer replacement, a total reconstruction of the intersection and roadway surface works within the project limits, and a conversion of overhead hydro servicing to underground within the project limits. The city undertakes an annual traffic count program to collect and analyze traffic data at all the signalized intersections in the city. These reports have identified that this intersection is operating at a low level of service. Level of service is measured by length of delay for each traffic movement. Improvements are needed to bring the level of service back to an acceptable level, as well as accommodate future growth in the city. Since the intersection was going to be reconstructed, this was viewed as a good opportunity to replace the underground infrastructure, which is nearing the end of its service life. Replacing this infrastructure ensures its integrity so that we avoid having to do repairs under the new pavement and impact residents and businesses with more closures in the future. As the city grows, our increasing population puts additional strain on our existing infrastructure. This project was also a great opportunity to increase the capacity of key wastewater, sewer, and water main segments so that the city can continue to support new development. The image that is now shown highlights the project area, which extends from midway between PTH 12 and PTH 52 and up to 40 meters east of Home Street on Loewen Boulevard. On PTH 12, the limits extend from north of Millwork Drive and Stonebridge Crossing and up to Elmdale Street. This image illustrates the traffic flow improvements that are being included with this project. Eastbound and westbound Loewen Boulevard currently have a single lane for both left turn and through traffic. Each direction will now have both a dedicated left turn lane and a through lane, which will greatly reduce delays. Southbound Highway 12 currently has a single left turn lane onto Loewen Boulevard. A second left turn lane will be added, and in order to receive the second left turn lane, eastbound Loewen Boulevard will have an acceleration added that will end at Home Street. This will ensure that vehicles have sufficient opportunity to merge back into the single lane of traffic without impacting traffic in the intersection. This image identifies some of the improvements for pedestrians at the intersection. The size of the southeast yield island, shown here, has been increased, as well as the concrete paved areas at the northeast and southeast boulevards. This was done to provide a larger refuge area for pedestrians as they are waiting to cross the intersection. We have also added detectable warning tiles at all the pedestrian crossings. And these tiles provide a textured surface that assists visually impaired people in recognizing the boundary between pedestrian routes and the active travel lanes for vehicles. We've also added a concrete paved pedestrian refuge at the Southwest Boulevard and a reconfiguration of all the traffic signal poles that will move them outside of the walking path for pedestrians. This slide will highlight some of the active transportation improvements that are being done with the project. The existing bike lane on westbound Loewen Boulevard, west of Home Street, can no longer be accommodated within the roadway due to the addition of 2 additional lanes for vehicular traffic. Bike traffic will now be redirected onto the North Boulevard at the Home Street intersection and will continue west to PTH 12. This is not shown in the image, but PTH 12's East Boulevard between Loewen and Stonebridge Crossing will also be reconstructed so that it is fully concrete pavement from curb to edge of right-of-way. I would also like to mention that the city is currently in the process of creating an active transportation plan for the community, and we are seeking input from our residents. A link to the city's website is shown, which contains information regarding a survey that we encourage you all to participate in. Participants will be entered into a draw to win a $250 gift card. Next, we'll cover the traffic safety improvements. For the northbound PTH 12 right turn yield onto Loewen Boulevard, we realigned it to create what is known as a smart channel. A smart channel encourages lower vehicle speeds and increases safety at the pedestrian crossing. By increasing the angle approaching Loewen Boulevard, it forces the driver to come to a slower speed in order to make that turn. As well, northbound Hanover Street traffic and westbound Loewen traffic will no longer be able to turn left from or onto Hanover Street. This change was made due to how close Hanover Street is to this intersection, as well as the increase in the number of lanes that would need to be crossed for this movement. This decision was made in order to improve safety and ensure safe traffic flow for the intersection traffic. As well, all of the hydro poles and overhead wires will be removed and converted to underground servicing. This has reduced the number of roadside objects that a vehicle could collide with during an accident. Lastly, I'll cover the environmental improvements. So as some of you may know, there were previously gas stations that surrounded this intersection. Gas stations can leave behind contaminants that need to be remediated from the soil. Any contaminants that are encountered as part of this project will be analyzed and handled appropriately, which would include soil reclamation at a specialized processing facility. Now I'll cover the phase 1's traffic staging plan, and phase 1 being the first year of construction. So as some of you will have noticed, phase 1 traffic staging has begun at the beginning of this week and will continue to roll out as the project progresses. The image that is shown illustrates the areas that will be shut down as part of the first phase of construction, which are highlighted in green. The image is the plan that was developed as part of our design process, but could be subject to changes if acceptable alternatives are requested by the contractor. Any of these changes would be presented to the public. Not all closures will need to occur at the same time as well, so they will be initiated as required by the work. And that information will also be sent out to the public via the city website and our social media pages. So for the first phase of construction, traffic will be shifted to the east side of the highway via switchover lanes north of Millwork Drive and south of Elmdale Street. Traffic lights at the intersection will be disabled, and northbound and southbound PTH 12 traffic will not be allowed to make left turns. Next, I'll cover the detour plan for the first phase of construction, sorry. And yeah, so the image shows the signed detour routes for accessing properties that will be affected by the closures. Color-coded routes are provided that show the revised routes for access to these properties. This map is a little hard to see on the slideshow presentation, but we will be posting it to the city website for public access. So please go there to get the information. And if you need any assistance or have any questions with how to interpret the map, feel free to reach out. The phase 2 staging plan is also shown, but I will not be covering this in detail now. This is a preliminary plan that will be reassessed at the end of this year's construction. But in general, traffic will be switched over to the west side of PTH 12, and traffic will be shifted to the north side of Loewen Boulevard, east of PTH 12. This information will be updated and made available in the future once it has been determined. The phase 2 detour plan is a revision to the phase 1 plan as well that adjusts the detours to work with the phase 2 closures. The information shown is also preliminary, and changes will be made available once they are determined. While this project will provide benefits to the community, there will be temporary inconveniences as the work is completed. Expect traffic delays due to the reduced lanes, as well as an increase in traffic volumes along the detour routes and other side streets. Access to businesses and residences will also be affected, but the city has made provisions to minimize these effects as much as reasonably possible. Businesses and residences will be placed on a temporary water service as water main renewals take place. A minimum of 24 hours notice will be given for any temporary loss of water due to required shutdowns to switch over the water service. The duration of full shutdowns will be kept to a minimum and typically are less than an hour. So this presentation has highlighted a number of benefits that this project will bring to the community, but to briefly recap, the improved intersection geometry will enhance safety for both motorists and pedestrians. The improved level of service for the intersection will reduce traffic delays and support further growth within the city. The increase in water and wastewater system capacity will also allow the city to continue to grow. And the replacement of the aged infrastructure that is nearing the end of its service life will benefit the community. All right, now I will hand it back over to Bea, who will close out the presentation.
Thank you so much, Erin. So one thing that I wanted to touch base on is the communications portion of this project. If you have any site-specific questions, so you're talking about your property specifically in regards to this project, please contact the City of Steinbach Engineering Department if you have any comments or concerns. This is their contact information, Aaron Rock, who is presenting. There's his phone number and there's his email. And then Russ Mailing as well, our engineering technologist. There's his number and his email as well. If for whatever reason you lose track of this, contact information for the engineering department as well as City Hall is all on our website. And then in terms of communications, regarding the intersection renewal. So project updates will be shared through the city's website as information becomes available. Communications regarding road or lane closures affecting residents and businesses will be shared through the city's website and the city's social media accounts. You can find the links to the city's website and accounts on Facebook, Instagram, and X by visiting www.steinbach.ca/connect. That is the one way, or by scanning the QR code on your screen right now. Additional notices regarding updates to travel may also be shared with local media to hopefully circulate the message further. An effort will be made to provide the public with timely updates throughout the different stages. That being said, due to the active nature of the construction site, timelines and updates may change at any time. In any case, we ask everybody to abide by the signage and to exercise caution when traveling through the area. If you have any questions with the city's communications specifically, please feel free to contact me by email at communications@steinbach.ca or by calling Steinbach City Hall. We will now move to the Q&A portion of this open house. Questions are still being accepted using the chat feature at the bottom of your window. We will answer as many questions as we can in the time that we have, and then any unaddressed questions will be reviewed. And if the city can provide an answer, it will be posted on the city's website. Now, if you reach out with a site-specific question in the chat, I will respond and ask you to provide your contact information so that we as the city can find that answer for your site and reach out to you at a later time. Okay. So first up, we had a question for Aaron, for traffic heading west on Loewen Boulevard, why is there no dedicated lane for traffic turning north?
Yeah, so yeah, no, that's a good question, and that is definitely something that we investigated. But ultimately, because there's no physical room within the existing right-of-way to accommodate this lane while maintaining pedestrian safety and not affecting the property that is adjacent to the right-of-way, we made the decision that that was something that wouldn't be included at this time. We're still adding a dedicated left turn lane, which will greatly reduce wait times for northbound, westbound, and southbound traffic from Loewen Boulevard. And as well, we did ensure that the design of this intersection would be able to accommodate a right turn lane in the future if if an opportunity did present itself.
Perfect. Okay, next question. When will Loewen Boulevard be closed during phase one?
Yeah, so we do have a preliminary schedule from the contractor, and right now they're indicating that mid-July they would be shutting down Loewen to begin the work there. And that's Loewen, to clarify, that's Loewen west of PTH 12.
Perfect. Okay. Will water shutdowns or interruptions be conducted during daytime hours or other time periods?
Yeah, water shutdowns will occur during the day, but the contractors are required to provide residences and businesses a minimum of 24 hours notice before any water shutdowns occur, unless it's an absolute emergency.
Okay. Wondering if you can provide some context to this, Aaron. Will any other methods of notification be made for those residents who may not have internet access? I will say on the communications end of things in terms of large scale getting the word out, that is why notices will be sent to local media to hopefully get the word out for long-term closures in the Carillon, for example, or anything like that. But can you speak to any other ways of notifications, Aaron?
Yeah, well, letters have been sent out to all the businesses and residences that are within the project limits, just advising them of the upcoming closures and effects to their properties. As well, yeah, we'll be posting updates to social media, the city website. I'm sure there'll be interviews with the local radio station, as well as updates to local media. And lastly, we have a pretty open door policy here at City Hall. So if a resident would like to stop by with some questions, I'd be more than happy to take some time to answer them.
Okay, perfect. Question here, how is pedestrian access accommodated during construction?
Yeah, so pedestrian access will be, currently there's a pedestrian sidewalk on the east side of Loewen Boulevard. This would be treated similar to a road reconstruction project. we will accommodate pedestrians either through the original route if it is safe to do so. We'll provide a detour route if that route is unsafe to do so. Yeah, there will be events where there may be, temporary closures to those pedestrian routes, but yeah, those will be kept to a minimum, and we will, attempt to maintain a pedestrian route through all stages of the project.
Okay, perfect. And this is a bit of this may be directed elsewhere, but maybe you can provide some context. Has any consideration been given to adjusting traffic light timing at Industrial and Path 52 and Acres and Path 12 to help with congestion on these routes as they are being used to bypass the construction?
Yeah, so yeah, that is something that has been considered, and we will be dealing with the province and Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure. Traffic signals within town are their infrastructure, and they do frequently do make tweaks to the signal timing, and yeah, that is something that we would coordinate with them and look for opportunities to make improvements.
Okay, perfect. And another question. When Loewen Boulevard from Home Street to 12 is closed, where are residents expected to park and how will they access their homes?
So the intent of the project is to maintain access to the homes and their approaches for as long as possible. Yeah, there will be moments where access will be lost, and then there will be inconveniences, but we as much as reasonably practical, we are trying to maintain access, and we will work with residents. If they do have any concerns, they can reach out to us, and we'd be happy to hear those concerns. But I should also note that, yeah, if there is work happening that is immediately fronting their property, they may need to park elsewhere for that period of time. But they'll be directed accordingly.
All right. Some additional questions that came in. Will there be any delays or changes to the timeline?
Yeah, well, I mean, changes and delays are inevitable in construction. We will try our best to stick to the provided timelines and schedules, and we'll keep the public updated and those directly affected as informed as possible. So if there are changes, keep an eye on our website and social media for updates.
And you touched on this a bit earlier, but will there be any disruptions to utilities?
Yeah, like in regards to private utilities, like internet and such, yeah, there would be, I imagine there would be momentary loss of service possibly at times, but I would have to verify that with the utilities. So that's something I will look into further following the meeting. I'll reach out to the utilities, and then we can post that update to the website.
Perfect. Um, does anybody else have any questions? Feel free to put them in the chat. We'll pose a couple more and then that might just be it. If you have any further questions outside of this meeting or you think of any after, please reach out. The contact information was in the slides here, but they're also on our website. Feel free to reach out to engineering directly or communications directly, and we can figure out a way to either answer you or provide some context as to what you're asking about. Another question here, how will garbage collection and other services be affected?
Yeah, so yeah, the city will take care to ensure that garbage will be collected in a timely manner. However, it may not occur at the regularly scheduled times. We'll coordinate with the contractor and ratepayers and services to minimize disruptions to garbage collection. Often we will come up with an alternate collection method, which the contractor assists with. So yeah, there are provisions in place, and we will ensure that garbage is taken care of on a regular basis.
Okay, we got another question. Why was the construction of the project delayed?
Yeah. So, yeah, this construction project was delayed. There was some scope that was added to the project. Um, some concerns were identified with the existing hydro poles, and a decision was made to convert the overhead hydro service to underground to increase the safety of the intersection. And with that change, unfortunately, it did, a change like that required a lot of coordination, and changes to the plan. So, yeah, in an effort to maximize the safety improvements, we decided to delay the project to institute that.
And you may have touched on this again, but this was a question here. Will there be a designated right turn lane from Loewen to 12N to 12 to path 12 north?
No, yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we did not have room within the existing right of way to fit a right turn lane, without negatively affecting the neighboring property. The space that is there is just it wouldn't be possible to fit that right turn lane.
All right. We are reviewing some questions here. I don't know that there's any more to be posed during the meeting. There were a lot of other great questions that may be more site specific and or your answers may be a little bit more long-winded and or we need to double check some information before we pose the answers. Any questions like that, like I said before, any unaddressed questions, they'll be reviewed. And if the city or province can provide an answer, they will be posted on the City of Steinbach website. Is there anything else you'd like to touch on, Erin, before we close off the virtual open house?
Yeah, I guess I'd like to close out just by asking everyone to observe all signage when driving through the construction zone. We want everyone to stay safe here, our residents, our contractors, and everyone involved. And yeah, so please obey all signage, pay attention, be prepared for changes as the project progresses. And yeah, we thank you for your patience.
Okay, thank you again to everybody for joining us today. That is the end of our virtual open house. Again, everything or a video recording of the video, the slides that were presented today, as well as questions and answers that we can provide answers for, will be posted on the City of Steinbach website. Updates to traffic and stuff like that will be shared to local media as well as through our own digital media, so social media and our website again. If you have any other questions about this project that were not touched on today, site specific or larger scope, feel free to reach out. We thank you again for taking the time to be informed today.